Hello everyone. So I got a request to make a video on arrays in Python. So if you want to use array in Python, in that case, you can't directly use it actually. You need to import it first. Okay. So before use anything in the programming part, let me discuss the thing that what is exactly array. Okay. So array is just a collection of homogeneous type of data. It is just a kind of list. Okay, but here we can store only similar type of data only, but in list we can store heterogeneous type of data. So array is just a collection of homogeneous type of data. That means you can only store similar type of data in it. Either all the value should be integer, all the value should be in float, or any a similar type of data. So it is a collection of homogeneous type of data, okay, which is indexed, ordered, even it is mutable also. So if you want, you can add, remove, and replace the value also inside an array. Okay. Now, so how we can create array in Python? Let's see. So directly you can't use it. You need to import first of all that module array. So use import array. And for an alias, you can use any alias name, any short name for that array. I'm using here A. Any other name you can use here. And then just use A dot. Inside that array model, we have array function here. You need to use the type code that which kind of element you want to store in that array, whether it is an integer, whether it is a float, or which type of array. Okay, so you need to define the type code. Okay, you can refer type code from this chart here. Okay, so you can see a signed character. Okay, which in Python basically each and everything is an either integer or float actually if it is a numerical. So the type code is like this. If you want to use a byte size integer, which is for one byte of size, so for that you can define here B. That is a signed character. Signed means you can either use a positive or the negative value. Then we have unsigned character also. That two of 1 byte of size. For that you can use capital B. If you want to use the characters like string values, that is of 2 bytes memory, and you can use here small u. Then for integer short, like 2 bytes of integer, you can use H. That is also a signed short. For unsigned value, okay, where you can store in negative as well as the positive value. For that, you can use capital S and so on. So we have signed int, so I, unsigned int, so capital I, signed long, so capital L, I guess. Unsigned long for signed long, you can use small n, and for unsigned long, you can use capital L. Signed long, that means that is of 8 byte, you can use Q. For unsigned integer, for 8 byte, you can use Q, capital Q. For float 4 byte, you can use small f, and for float 8 byte, you can use small d. These are the type code chart which you can refer for that. Okay. And I will give you a link for this particular chart in my description box. So you can get from the code from there. Now, so you just need to refer the type code and then the iterable. Let's see how we can make it here. So I'm going to use Jupyter Notebook here, okay? So let's import that array first, and I'm using here an alias name for this array as A. Now, I'm using here, let's use x is equals to A dot array. The sign I'm using here I, okay? So you can refer I here. What is the meaning of type code I here? Type code I means signed int. Okay. That is of 2 bytes of memory. And then the iterable. So I'm using here 3, 9, 6, 89, and 56. Run this code and you can see the value of x here. Okay. You can see here that is an array. If you want, you can check the type of that x also. You can see we got an array here. Okay. Now, the next thing is, if you want, you can access one by one the value also. X of 0, x of 1 like this, because it is also indexed. So let me show you the indexing part here. So the first value is 3 because it is ordered. No, so in the same order, it will store the value as well. So 3, 9, 6, 89, and 56. And the next thing is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see whether in array in Python use reverse indexing or not. So if I'm using your a of -1, let's see. So you can see we got an error that in Python array value, we can't use negative indexing here. We can only use a positive indexing here. Okay. Now, let's see whether we can use the slicing concept of not here. So I'm using here ::2. And you can see here we can use slicing concept in Python array because it is indexed actually. Okay, now lots of other things you can do. I told you that array is an indexed, like it is a mutable type of data. So if it is a mutable, that means we can add, remove, and replace the value also. So let's try to add the value. So I'm using your x dot and just use your tab to get x dot tab here. And you can see all the property of this array. See append, buffer info, and lots of other things are there. Let me use here append function to, if you want to add any element inside the text. I'm using here 100. And you can see here inside the text, we are able to add at the last of the list, we are able to add 100. Same way, if you want, you can add multiple values here. Okay. Again, we have lots of other options are there by which you can add the value. Then we have count function that if you want to check out which element is, suppose I'm using here count of 3. Like the iteration of 3 inside that array. So 3 comes only one time inside this x. Same way, we have other functions here. We have count function, extend function also. If you want to add more than one value, then you can see here index function if you want to check the index value of any number. Insert function if you want to insert any element at the desired location. Item size, basically item size will give you, basically you can see here all the element are of integer type. So that will give you the, for any one, each of the item size of the element. So you can see all the elements are of integer value. Okay, so one element is having 4 byte of memory, and we show you this in the here also. If I'm using here, you can see here the value. Okay, so that is of 4 byte of memory. Okay, so that you can define here. Now the next thing is you can check the item size. Again, we have lots of other things are there. Okay, you can pop the value, you can remove the value, even you can reverse the value as well. You can see it reverse all the value for you. Okay, so lots of things are there. You can explore it more. Now, one very interesting function is here, which is called buffer info. So you can see in buffer info, it will give you the location of the address of that x, address of that array, and the length of that array. So you can see we have 6 elements, so it will give you 6 over here. Okay, same way, if I want to find out some more thing, like I want to check the type code of that array. So you can see the type code of this x is I. It means integer, signed integer. Then what if I want to, again, you can iterate the value by using indexing, or you can iterate it by using loop also. So for I in x, and I just want to print the value of I here. You can see we can iterate the values one by one. Also, if you want to take a value from user, that is also possible if you want to store the value inside a list. I mean array. Okay, so let's see how we can take a value from user and store elements one by one inside an array. So suppose I have an empty array here. Let me create it here. Let's see, C is equals to A dot array. Okay, and then type code I'm using here I, and then empty list, empty array actually. Okay, so you can see inside this C we have no element. Now let's take a value from user and store the elements here. So I'm using here n is equal to the number of element I want to take from the user. So int input, enter the length of array. Okay, so and after taking the length of the array, what I want to do, I'm using here for I in C. Okay, or we can just use here for I in the length of that A. Okay, length of that n. Okay, suppose if user will give you, you want to store 5 elements, so it starts from 0 to 5 minus 1. Okay, now And then whatever element we are getting from the user, I want to store it into that particular array. And that array is C here. Okay. So I'm using here, let's use I'm using here x is equals to int taking value from user. Okay. Enter the elements one by one. Okay. And then whatever element you are getting from the user inside the text, just append it in that C. So C dot append the value of x here. And after that, just print the value of C here. Let's see whether it will work or not. So enter the length. I'm using here 5. We are getting error here, that is integer has no length. Okay. Okay. Directly we can put n here actually. Range of n. In range n actually. In range n. Okay. So I'm using here 5 length. Now one by one I'm going to put the elements. I'm using a 12, 23, 90, 76, and 45. And you can see we got that array by taking value from user. Okay. So this is how you can perform operations on array. Okay. I hope that is clear to everyone. If you have any other request, just let me know in the comment box. Thank you so much, everyone.